Hello and welcome to this short advanced course on emotional and sensory regulation. The course is a 3-hour course. Of course, you can spend more time on it if you want to, and if you follow some of the embedded readings and some of the embedded links that we've included in the course, then of course you can spend a lot longer on the course. But we're aiming for you to spend around 3 hours on the course. So I'll tell you a bit about it. We've divided it into 4 sections. The first section is about understanding emotional regulation, and within that section we have 2 subsections. One that seeks to define and explain and unpack what we mean when we talk about emotional regulation, and the second is about exploring the importance of emotional regulation and of course how it relates to our work as early years practitioners. Moving on to section 2, that section is called Exploring Emotional Regulation, and we're covering a much broader range of topics here, promoting social and emotional skills, which is about what we can do as practitioners to support skills that will support the development of children's social and emotional domains. And within that, we're looking very specifically at empathy and communication. And within the course, there's lots of activity ideas and developmental exercises that you can incorporate right from babies up to age 5 around supporting children's notion and understanding of empathy, which of course links inextricably to emotional regulation. Okay, we also look at building positive relationships, which is another key pillar of emotional regulation, navigating emotional experiences, common emotional triggers for children. Then we unpack strategies for identifying and managing those triggers that we've looked at. And then we move on to what you can do as early years practitioners in terms of your tools and techniques in supporting emotional regulation. Okay, then we step into, in section 3, we step into sensory regulation, and that section 3 is entitled Fundamentals of Sensory Regulation. And again, there we strive to define what sensory regulation is. We look at how children's self-regulation and self-regulation skills, what they are and how they're developed. And we look at sensory processing challenges that children may have, perhaps when things aren't going as they should. Some challenges that they may face, and we're really linking that to atypical development. But in order to know and understand atypical development in relation to sensory processing challenges, I think it's very important that we develop an understanding of what should happen. So we've laid out a section on ages and stages of sensory processing development, what you should be expecting from children at what age, from 0, I think we've gone up to age 6 there, and also what the implications are if those sensory milestones, sensory processing milestones, are not met. What are the implications? What could that lead to? How could you spot that if those milestones are not being met? And within that, we talk about the importance of early identification leading into early intervention. Very, very important. The earlier we make an intervention, the better the outcomes are when things are not going as they should, if we're thinking about typical development. Okay, So within that, we then move on to look at, within section 3, we move on to look at the difference between sensory seeking and sensory avoidant behaviours, how to identify the difference, what they are and how to spot them, and what to do as well, how to support sensory seeking behaviour or sensory avoidant behaviour. And within that, we look at sensory processing thresholds. Okay, and section 4 of the course, the fourth and final section, of course, before the conclusion, is friendly environments and support strategies. And those friendly environments and support strategies really look at both emotional regulation and sensory regulation and think about what can we do as practitioners to build emotional and sensory friendly classrooms, ways of working, routines, etc. So there's 3 key subsections within section 4. One is about creating sensory and emotional friendly environments, and that's like physical environments, what you can actually do, how you can lay the place out. And within that, we've also then looked at this idea of calming down. What can we do to support children to calm down? And there's a great video to watch there with someone sharing some of her top tips and exercises. Yes. So then we look at designing and adapting early years settings to promote emotional well-being. How can we set things up? How can we organise things? What resources can we use? And then we move on finally to tools and techniques, where we look at sensory regulation strategies that we can implement as early years practitioners to support children with their regulation. So there is a conclusion as well, and in the conclusion we've earmarked a substantial amount of extended reading and additional reading, things that you might want to follow up if something strikes your interest. And if you don't have time to do it now as part of this course, remember you can always come back and revisit the course for as long as your registration lasts. But you can also bookmark on your browser any of the resources that we've identified that you think that might be a good read for the future, even if you don't have time to do it now. There are 9 quizzes throughout the course, and we ask you as you're going through to do those 9 quizzes. And if there's questions that you're getting wrong, that's fine, that's part of the learning process, but go back and have a second or a third attempt at the quiz so that you are coming out with full top marks on each of the quizzes available. There's also one forum in the course, and the forum is a chance where you can have contact with the other people that are doing this course, current people and people from the past. It's you post your messages on the forum, and we've asked you to do a very specific task for the forum to identify some strategies that you could use in your classroom. And what we urge you to do is not just to add your own information to the forum, but also to add comments to people that have posted in the past. And of course, anyone that does the course in the future will also be able to see your comments and your insights in that forum. So that's great. Right at the end of the course, you have a finishing flag. It's important that you press that finishing flag when you're done and you do your evaluation. You need to record on there how much time you've spent in learning on the course, and we ask you for a little bit of feedback, and we ask you for the things that you've learned. And that's one of the key ways that we evaluate your participation and learning, so we can accredit you for doing this course. So you sit back and enjoy the next 3+ hours on emotional and sensory regulation.